Hello and welcome to the Claret and Blue podcast preview show for Aston Villa's trip to Brentford. I'm your host Dan Ronaldson, joined by John Townley, and as a little Easter egg for 1874 fans, I believe my microphone's working, so already an improvement on that other Villa podcast. How's things, John?
Yeah, doing well, thank you, Dan. Looking forward to tomorrow. It seems like we've played quite a lot of Sundays recently, at least in my head, anyway. Obviously a big game for our standings in the Premier League. Really tricky match. I always think Brentford's a difficult game, whether it's home or away. Like whenever I do pre-match press conferences for this match, Unai is always, saying competitive and demanding and all those sorts of adjectives to describe what is, a really strong Brentford team in terms of how they work and how they play out of possession. So yeah, always going to be a difficult game at the old G-Tech. Doesn't quite do it so much really, because they are like kind of up and at you, aggressive, like direct, and they can play some good football as well, Brentford, to be fair. But yeah, the name of the stadium doesn't quite match what you go there to expect really on the pitch.
The G-Tech Community Stadium, to give it its full name, I believe. Let's dive straight into the presser then. You've been to see Unai Emery this afternoon. What was the vibe like, apart from being competitive and demanding and all the usual Unai Emery phrases? How was it?
Yeah, he's good. He was good today. In good spirits. I think because obviously Villa won 3-1 in the Champions League the other night, didn't they? So this is now like a fresh opportunity to win successive away games for the first time since September. That's something I asked him in the embargoed section afterwards. So yeah, like a lot of the stats kind of go against Villa in terms of their form away from home. I mean, if it wasn't for that Everton win, they would be very low in the Premier League away table, if that makes sense. I think
enough as it is. 16th
yeah,
now.
16th. Yeah, I checked it earlier myself, and it's 16th. I'm not too sure how many points we are away from the teams beneath us, but I'm pretty certain it's just basically the bottom. That bottom group of clubs. So yeah, home form fantastic. Third in the division for home form. I do think we have played maybe a couple more matches than other teams, but still, like to be in the top 4, top 5 means that you're good at home, and obviously to get top 4 and top 5, you need to then be in that bracket as well away from home, and we are not at all. So we can climb that away league.
We are.
Yeah, we can climb that kind of away league table if we can get a few wins here and there. It's probably quite tight, but yeah, it does show how bad we've been away from home, basically, and especially compared to last season. Again, when I asked Emery the question, I had to caveat it with, basically, I asked him, "Are you surprised about the away form?" Because last season you were consistent both home and away, and even this season they're very consistent at home in terms of losing twice. They could have won more games, and they could have beaten Man United, and they could have beaten Bournemouth late on. So I do think the home form has been good, although we've dropped a few points here and there. We don't lose at home, do we, really? So yeah, great in terms of that. But then away form, that's when you want to pick up points that you lost in terms of drawing at home to Ipswich, like last season when we drew at home to Sheffield United. We picked up points away from home where you maybe didn't expect us to, like Tottenham, like Chelsea, like Brentford, like other places. So yeah, that's what we've been lacking this season. And if you add maybe 2 away wins onto what we have at home, would we be in the top 4? Something like that, basically there. So yeah, that proves.
Yes, we would. We'd be on 40, say 2 wins. I mean, whether they're converting losses to wins or draws to wins. We're on 42. Man City are on 47. So near enough. It took me a second then because I still had the away table on. I'm just looking at it when you said how far are we away from the others. It's 14 points away from home for us, Everton, Man United and Brentford. 16 for Tottenham and West Ham. And behind us, Wolves on 12. And then the bottom 3 are well, I say nowhere near. 10 for Ipswich, 8 for Leicester, nowhere near. Southampton, 5. So yeah, it doesn't look good.
We also do have quite a lot of away. Yeah, we have got quite a lot of away games to play, but they're all difficult apart from, dare I say it, Southampton.
Yeah, and you flip back to the home table and we're third, 28 points. Arsenal also 28, Liverpool 32. So home form is keeping the season alive, if you like, in terms of Premier League aspirations, which is good. It's good to be reliable at home, and if you can win all your home games and pick up some points away from home, you're going to have a decent chance. But Villa haven't even done the picking up points on the away from home bit, really, and that's why we're 10th.
Yeah, of course. And even the home form there, as you said, you could probably make an argument to say that we could probably win all of those home games, like the Bournemouth one, like the Man United one, Ipswich, West Ham. Like if you added all those together, and I know that's just me kind of talking out loud, but the point I'm trying to make is that we have been good at home, and we probably should even deserve more points than what we have. So that's the real frustration, that we've had to nearly be perfect at home in terms of results to be in the top 4. As in, if we had been pretty much perfect, we would be there. But really, that should just be leveled out. We shouldn't be 16th in the away table. We should be, at least top 10. And if we were, we'd be in a really good, strong position. So, yeah, got a lot of kind of work to do in the league from now to the end of the season. But I do think us having a good chance of progressing further in the FA Cup, and us having obviously a fantastic Champions League campaign, it does balance it out for me. If you spoke about the season in general in terms of the league, well, I don't know, the league's probably like a 4 out of 10 in terms of expectations, because in terms of the current standing, we're nowhere near where we want to be. Points wise, we're not far off, but difficult games. So it does level out, but we know that the league is that's your bread and butter. This is the fundamental objective that we have, is to be in Europe next season, and the league is always the best way to do that. But maybe it isn't now. We'll see.
Dan Bardell in the comments says, saw you on a different podcast today, Rolo. Probably worth people watching that instead. Well, the 1874 podcast actually had a bit of knowledge for a change, for some Brentford stats that I'll bring into this show instead. Their home form is actually not as good as people maybe think it is, just because they started so well. I think they win. Well, I haven't got it in front of me like I did earlier. 7 out of 8, and they're without a win at home now in the last 6. So
league games, 7 in all comps.
So, I looked at this fixture without looking into it and thought, well, Brentford are good at home, so this is going to be difficult. Villa aren't very good away, as we've discussed. So, this kind of leads to Brentford maybe will have Villa's number. And it also feels like a bit of a bogey side. But even that is an outdated narrative. In the Championship days, we didn't beat them. And I think we didn't beat them in the first 2 Premier League games that they got promoted in as well. Since then, the Aaron Danks game, we've not lost to them. So in Unai Emery's era, we've not lost to Brentford in the league. So, the kind of tendency to go, well, it's a bogey side away from home. Brentford are strong there. This could be difficult. Well, actually, that's maybe a little bit out of date now.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it was definitely a bogey team in the Championship era. But in the Premier League, no, not so much. We drew twice them, as you say, but in the first year that we had, but they were pretty strong then. We drew to them, I think it was the 3rd game of the season or 4th game of the season. Buendia scored, and they were playing in that yellow kit. We drew 1-1. Rico Henry should have won the game for them late on, I think. But that doesn't matter. It's that's not me flexing it, by the way. I'm just trying to paint the picture of what you've just asked me. But no, since then we've done well, and I vividly remember in the run that we had at the back end of 22-23 when Emery came in and we won. It was at 8 of 10. But that Brentford game, I always looked at that game as that's the one that's going to be really difficult. Chelsea away was, they weren't very good at the time, and that was an opportunity, and we won. But Brentford, that was the one, because their home form then that season, they'd lost like 2 games at home all season, or at least up until that point that they played us. So they were really, really strong at home, much stronger than they are now. But they were kind of on that run earlier in the season. But back then I was thinking a draw there would be fantastic. And when Luis scored pretty late on, that felt like a win to me, because we were, closing in on Europe at that point. And last season, an even better result. However, we may have lost that game if Ben Mee didn't get sent off in the 71st minute, which allowed us to take the momentum. Moreno scored a header at the back post, I think. And then Watkins obviously got his goal and celebrated in front of that fan that had been abusing him all game, which was, not good to see, but good to see him celebrate for him. Get what I'm trying to say. But it's always a difficult game there, and there's every chance we could have lost that game last season, really, if Ben Mee didn't make another, pretty horrible challenge on one of our players. So, going to be a really difficult match. You just say bizarre for them this campaign. So Brentford, started really well at home, but then terrible away. I don't know if you remember when we played Brentford and Southampton in the same week at home. They were the 2 worst away teams in the division. They'd only picked up 2 points between them, and then we beat them both. So, happy days. And then pretty much since then, they've been good away from home, but then bad at home. So really bizarre how it's changed for them. You'd hope that Villa's analysts have identified why that is, why that's happened, why they're not very good at home anymore. But I hate to kind of say it like this, but that run has to end at some point. You just hope it's not against us, and they're not going to kind of make a wholesale change tactically and catch us out. So I do think we have to kind of prepare for anything, really. They obviously have a style of playing and a structure and how they want to do it, but it's those fine margins that have clearly gone against them in the last 6-7 games in all comps that they haven't won in. Villa are going to have to prepare for something different, I think, because they can't carry on what they're doing, surely, Brentford, and expect results. So, yeah. However, just us away from home, we haven't done well away from home at all. So this is a big chance for Brentford to get back into, strong kind of form at home themselves.
Yeah, well, hopefully when they were on that good away run last time and we managed to beat them, now it's flipped. We can pile on the misery again and still win again.
Yeah, be the last one,
Just fact checking your Premier League knowledge of 22-23, or confirming it even. Match week 32 was the draw away at Brentford for Villa, 1-1, and they had lost 2 home games up until that point. And the second defeat was only against Newcastle 2 weeks before. So good knowledge. How you remember these things, don't know. If you just said what was the result, I'd have gone, it was a draw, but I don't know much more than that, just off the top of my head, live on a podcast. But for you to remember that is silly.
Robin Olsen came on, didn't he, at half time? Pretty certain. Martinez came off, didn't he? Yeah. I'm pretty certain it was, because it wasn't last season, because Martinez obviously was dragging Maupay off the floor late on, wasn't he? So yeah, Olsen came on. I think he made a bit of a calamity of an error or something, but it was ruled off. I can't remember. But who was
Villa's
it's
goal
always
scorer
difficult with the GTEC
to level it?
Which Louise
in that game, the 1-1.
Louise. It was like a bit of a scramble, and then bashed it in from. It was like 85 or 87 minutes, wasn't it? So that it just felt like get it. Like it was 87. a good sort of how do I put it? We showed a different side to ourselves, basically, because we'd kind of rolled teams over, like Bournemouth 3-0, and it was kind of just going through the pace. Chelsea 2-0, but Brentford was a real task, and we of course had Olsen coming on as well, so big changes. And then last season, kind of having things go against us a little bit as well, but that red card definitely changed the game, I think, at that stage. So we're gonna have to prepare for a really difficult game again.
Yeah. Just a couple of comments, sorry. Bainbridge Event says, when's the next Villa Social? Potentially recording one next week. We keep pushing back dates to film because obviously everybody is very busy. It would be good to get one done in this big international break that's coming up. So hopefully one out before the end of March, but don't hold me to that just in case these things do change. Zach says, why are we so poor away from home? We all know we struggle away, but haven't really heard much analysis as to why. And Truth, Money and Freedom says, maybe these two will tell us why we're so bad away from home. Is it as easy to pinpoint a reason? I know we were just saying about Brentford them being good at home, and then something changes and all of a sudden they're good away and bad at home. Obviously I expect the football clubs themselves and the amount of money they pay analysts will know why these things can happen. But as fans, as journalists, whatever you want to say, can you ever pinpoint a reason why a team is better at one stadium than another?
Well, I think if you're looking at Villa this season, one of the key trends that at least has been happening for a number of weeks now, possibly months, it seems like every single time a lineup comes out and I'm going through the team, it's 3 changes at the back, 3 changes at the back, 3 changes at the back every single week. And I just don't see how that can... I mean, put it this way, that will just not be helping in home matches. I think
we still get points at home though with those.
But this is what I'm getting to. Obviously, when you're playing at home, the onus is on you. You have more control. You have, not as simple as this, but you have home backing, which allows other things. More time on the ball, more chance to express yourself in the final third, all that stuff. When you're playing away, you're gonna have less chances on goal. Usually, you're gonna have less of the ball. You're gonna have to work harder as a unit defensively. So the changes that we're making almost all the time, and not obviously we've had injuries, and it's not always going to be sort of our own making in terms of changing these players. It's not always a tactical decision, is what I'm trying to say. We went a few games with only having one centre back, didn't we? But I know it's across the whole campaign. However, I don't think at the start of the season we were that bad away from home. Like genuinely in terms of results, we beat Fulham, we beat Leicester. There was another few results. We obviously beat West Ham, and those, if you put them in this side of the season now, we'd be going to West Ham and thinking, well, we don't know what's going to happen. We'd be going to Leicester and hoping we'd win, but who knows? Because ultimately, John Duran got us out of Leicester, got us out of. I say he got us out of Leicester. We were winning, but gave us that cushion, which then reduced again. And then West Ham come off the bench and won the game. Fulham is the one game this season where I've been really happy with how we've played. And I said that in a previous podcast. Is that our statement win this season? It probably is, which says everything you need to know about our league form. I think winning at Brentford could possibly be in like the top 4 of statement results, genuinely. So yeah, that kind of sums up where we are. In terms of the question, obviously I don't have all the answers, but the key thing for me, in part due to injuries, has been the lack of consistency in our back line. I just don't think you can go to places in the Premier League, wherever it is, and expect to keep a clean sheet, because that is the bedrock. You can't expect to score 3 goals away from home every away game. It's just not going to happen, even if you are a team who has Jacob Ramsey, Marcus Rashford, Asensio. I'm not going to go through all of them, on all of those players, even with Duran. So, yeah, for me, it's the lack of consistency at the back, and we've seen that at home as well in terms of shipping goals. But last season, at least we had a somewhat of a more, I don't know, we not necessarily were we tighter or anything like that, but it's definitely changed in terms of the structure of the side, and Kamara's been out. Some players have been tired, so I just think defensively, that's been our fault throughout the whole season, really, and away from home that is exposed more so.
Okay, this is one for those that are watching only, and the audio listeners can come along on the mystery with us for the moving flag that is now no longer moving. Engine 9 says, John, is the ghost on holiday? Your flag's not moving today. Have you done anything different? Don't start it off. Yeah,
no, I don't know what that was.
Somebody on the Spotify comment said, because obviously they're only listening, so they can't see it. They wondered whether you were sat by a radiator and the hot air was blowing it. But we've already ruled that out, haven't we?
No, my radiators don't they don't get hot, so don't worry about that. Not a chance.
Good. Right, let's do some injury news, shall we? And it's pretty much as you were, wasn't it, from where we are from a squad perspective?
Pretty much. Onana is now back in training, which is obviously a big boost. Yes, it's a big boost, but in terms of this game, he might not even be in the squad. He wasn't kind of ruled out altogether by Unai, but I'd be surprised if he played a part, put it that way. Potentially for Bruges, he'll be back. We'll see. But again, just nice because we're approaching the end of this chunk of the season into the March break. Touch wood, nothing happens between Brentford and Bruges, so that, God, even in the international breaks, we'll have players going out there, but kind of return for Preston with, dare I say, a fully fit squad, all of them together. And you're talking about, who's going to make the bench, let alone make the starting 11. We had that earlier in the season against Fulham. I remember that. We had a fully fit team for the first time in probably, how many years.
Was it just that game as well?
I think maybe was it Bologna as well. There was another, it was a run of like 2 games. And we said at the time, like, enjoy it because it's not going to last at all. It didn't. But, everyone expects that. And to be fair, like, we have a fantastic squad without Onana and Barkley and without other players. Of course, you want them to come in because our midfield is, pretty shot in terms of energy right now. But yeah, ahead of the break, it's nice that Onana's coming back. Barkley, I mean, how do I put this? Whether he comes back for Bruges or whatever, I'm not too fussed. I want him back and ready to go for, as I say, Preston, because it's a big break that we have there. We don't need to re-rushing anyone back, and that's just something that Onana said himself, that he essentially rushed himself back for that Wolves game and then has had an issue since because of that. So Villa aren't going to take any risks on any players because they know that they've done that previously. Kamara, for example, came back, wasn't involved for 1 game, then came on against Bruges, didn't start when he probably could have, but didn't. Just extra precaution. Same for Cash, same for Torres. So, for that reason, I'd be shocked if Torres started against Brentford, against Bruges. Yeah. I think that's probably maybe the opportunity to come back in. But they want to ease players back rather than say, okay, he's back in training, he can play the next day. When, they probably could, but increased risk as a result. So, Unai, again, kind of embargoed quotes, so I can't really talk about it that much. But how do I go from here? Basically, put it this way, Villa didn't have many injuries when we went on a very good run in the 22-23 campaign, did we? So, hopefully that's hopefully that happens again.
Keep digging, mate. Keep digging.
Yeah, it's not that important, but
comment from Adam earlier says, crazy odds on Villa winning tomorrow. Are we really that unfavoured to win? I had a quick look.
You're a betting man, Dan.
No, I was about to say, every so often I'll maybe at the start of the season I'll put like a tenner in an account to see how long it lasts. It's usually like a couple of weekends. I've
never betted in my life, and I never plan to.
Have you not?
No, you know what it is? I'm just scared to become addicted.
Yeah, I know what you
genuinely,
mean. Yeah,
I really do see the fun in it because it's like accumulated and all these different things, and I know how it works. But it's just one of those where if I do it once and I, get good odds.
If you won, you'd be like, "Oh, I'm going to do that again."
I'd be like, and I, so I've kind of told myself if I never do it, then I'll have no urge to. I know, yeah.
That's absolutely
got
fine.
a bad feeling about me and betting, basically. So from now, I've just thought, you know what, let's just not even bother.
Yeah, well, it's probably the wise decision, to be honest. I was about to say, gamble responsibly and all those things we should say. I had a quick look on Betfair. Villa are down as 15-8 to win. So
this isn't sponsored, by the way, as far as I know.
No, absolutely not. There's many other betting companies available that we should. I mean, go to Betano maybe as well. I should have gone to. That shirt sponsor's clearly not working, is it? 5-8, 15-8. Sorry. So if you stick a fiver on, you lose a fiver. No, I'm joking. £14 return. So I don't know. Is that crazy? I don't know. If you stick a fiver on Brentford to win, you get £10.50. So yeah,
fiver.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if we're unfavoured to win. I don't know if I'd say that, but even with the things we've spoken about with home records, away records, Villa coming out of Europe, and whether that has a factor on it or not, I don't really fancy us, to be honest. I mean, when we get to our prediction in a bit, I probably will predict us to win, because I always do. But if we were to lose on Saturday evening, I wouldn't be surprised.
No, I'd be pissed. Can't say that. I'd be miffed badly if we lost, because I do think this is one of those games where,
I'll be annoyed, but I wouldn't be shocked.
I don't know how to put it, but your sort of how you feel about it in this game is like, if you win, oh my God, I'm delighted. It feels like we've beaten Real Madrid. That's how I feel about it, which is probably completely inaccurate. But it's one of those games where it's just like, if you win, like, thank God, because now you've still got a chance of doing a top 5 mission after the break and all those things. If you lose, you just feel like, it's just deflating. Like, it's not a game that you want to lose, and especially because of their form. I think a draw would be, take it and move on sort of thing. We've avoided the worst, which usually happens after Champions League games and all those things. And as I said, G-Tech is a difficult place to go and whatever. But I just think we are good, though. Like, I know we haven't shown it, but we can beat Brentford. So
of course we can, yeah.
I know that's not what you mean, but that's why I'm like, I wouldn't be shocked if we lost, but it wouldn't make it any easier to take. This wouldn't be like losing to Chelsea away, where it's like, they're a good team. Anyone could lose to Chelsea away on a given Saturday or whatever. But Brentford, they haven't won in 7, so why do we have to lose there? That's kind of how I think about it. Like, I wouldn't be surprised, but equally, it doesn't make it any better. It's a bad result if Villa lose. Like, there's no other way of putting it. And as I say, Villa have now put themselves in a position where they need to go here and win, instead of going here and taking a draw and feeling good about it. No, you need to win, because you didn't beat Ipswich or West Ham or Wolves or Bournemouth or Man United, and all of those are the results that we've thrown away.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. You put yourself under pressure on games that are actually quite difficult, rather than banking the points in games where you should have, and then you make it more difficult for yourself. I know people will think, top 5, you're an idiot. Top 7, even. You got to start winning games.
Yeah, when I say top 5, I mean like just being in the conversations. That's
just clarifying before someone in the comments jumps down your throat. I've told this, Villa have to end their post-Europe-slump with a result away at Brentford. Now, that will really rattle the guy who thinks a result just means winning, when a result means don't lose. Every win, lose, or draw, it's a result. It doesn't work like that. That's not what we mean. If you get a result, it means you've drawn or won. Anyway.
I hope there's only one person and not like the 5,000 or so.
Everybody knows. If you said, we need a result at the weekend, you mean a draw or a win. Everybody knows that. Nobody's there going, well, actually, a loss is a result, John. Yes, it is a result. It's an outcome. That's not what people mean. Yeah. Anyway.
mean, it's interesting that, because if you go to Sheffield United, it's not a result if you draw.
Well, I suppose the context of the
it's the context of it,
as well. Yeah.
But anyway,
to complicate it even further. There's 3 things that we need to stop: not winning after a European game, not winning away from home, and conceding the first goal via the opponent's first shot on target. Mm-hmm. Now, if Villa can get past the first shot on target and still be at 0-0, or maybe we're winning by that point, great. We've already done a little bit of good work.
That's when you lump on Villa if the first shot gets saved.
To come out of the game with a positive result, to win the game, to put all that hoodoo to bed of Villa can't win after Europe, to do it at this stage when it's a knockout European game and we've gone away and we've won there, ticked a massive box, go into the second leg, great. If you can then go to Brentford as well in between those games and win, let's say, that would be a real statement of like, okay, Villa aren't, yes, they're 10th at the moment. There's a lot of traffic ahead of them and the points are really tight. But Villa aren't messing around here. They're not rolling over and kind of focusing solely on the Champions League or solely on the FA Cup. they've still got a part to play in this top 7 of the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
If you do concede your first shot on target and you don't play well and you play slow and you do what we did against Palace and we go there to stop Brentford rather than them trying to stop us, and we don't win, and then who knows what happens in the second leg against Bruges, the mood could be vastly different. So I just want to see us go there and do a job for a change.
Yeah, I know. This is why the Everton game felt so good. When I was driving back home, I was just had a
imagine the 1-0 tomorrow. That'd be so nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so like you look back at 1-0 at Everton and you think, you've done that like 7 times in a row at Goodison. Like, it's not special, but afterwards it just is. So, especially in the context as you say, Dan, it would be so big if we could just win. Plus, of course, Brighton play Fulham, Forest play City, Newcastle are away against West Ham, which isn't a gimme at all, especially if they got in. Or they do have injuries, they have suspension and whatnot. So, whether they win there or not, it's a chance for us to gain points again. So, but I swear to God, this is probably the last time that I'll look at other teams' results around us and think, okay, well, if we win, you shouldn't really celebrate this, but we extend the gap to Brentford, who would go above us, I think, if they beat us. So, you do need to do that still, of course. You would go above, you would close the gap or go above Brighton or Fulham and or both, or Forest. All those teams I just mentioned, basically. Bournemouth away at Spurs, you never know. Again, difficult. I think Bournemouth will win 2-0, to be honest, but you know what I'm trying to say. They've had a few injuries and whatnot as well. So this just does feel like not the last opportunity for Villa to, have a happy weekend, but it would be great if we could win, because it just means something extra as well, because on the table it's going to change and that just is positive. You can jet out to Dubai and do the little training camp for a few days.
Let's get that done first before they go to Dubai.
Of course, yeah, you do need to get the Bruges job done as well. But you know what I mean? It paints a positive picture. And then seriously, when you come back after that, if again, we have no injuries, no issues, and you're going into the Preston game, and if you can get through that, you then approach Brighton with a complete different. Yeah. It's like, we've got a fully fit squad or there or thereabouts. And we're X points away from 4th. And I know people right now we're thinking, stop talking about blah, blah, blah. But we will be talking about that if we have 8 games left of the season and it's only a month left and we're playing games thick and fast again. Everyone's going to be getting carried away again. Oh, we can do this. So, but that all hinges on Brentford for me. So this is why it's such an important game. If we were to lose it, you drop down into the bottom half, I think. And then it's just a bit of a write-off to even think about Champions League, because you just don't deserve it at that point. And I don't really think we deserve it now, but we have to now back it up in a away win. So you're going to have to beat Brentford, probably get a draw at least against Brighton, and then, get a result at Bournemouth at the end, at Man United, of course, and other games too. So, there's a load of work for us to do, but we can do it still. And that comment that I've made there is only relevant though if we can do something against Brentford, because now it feels like now or never, basically, is what I'm trying to get to.
Brentford are 4 points behind us, so we will stay 10th tomorrow, no matter what. But even so, the optics don't look good, do they? If Brentford,
but then they play the week after, which pretty tricky. That's
it wouldn't be a great look.
It's a way to Bournemouth, to be fair. So
Tottenham.
Anyway.
So you mentioned Tottenham, Bournemouth there. Tottenham are probably due or need a result after their. I know it's only the first leg, but losing in Europe, maybe they'll come out and get a decent result against.
By the way,
whatever.
Can I quickly touch on conference? Actually, that's Europa League, which says everything I'm about to say. We beat Alkmaar 4-1 away, beat them at home. They're in the semi-final of the Conference League before last season. Now they're in the Europa League. We played Legia, who finished in the top 8 of the Conference League. We played Olympiacos coming down from the Europa League. Fiorentina were in there as well. We played Lille in the Champions League. So, our run to the Conference League, the run that we did, outrageous.
We played some good teams. Genuinely. A lot of those ties really would now teams. Be Europa League games or Champions League games. That
could be some of those teams are Champions League teams, or at least around that level. And it's so frustrating, because if we played that this season, you wouldn't have the teams coming down, and we would really add a. It grinds my gears a little bit, because those sides we were fine against. We've won the group and progressed, beat Lille, and then Olympiacos we were just knackered for. But like Ajax as well, they're in the Europa League. So and in the knockouts and doing okay. So it's so frustrating, because everyone will look at that now like, oh, Villa, they didn't do much in the Conference League. Yeah, because we played Champions League teams pretty much. Honestly. However, I did see Olympiacos lose 3-0 to Bodo Glimt away from home, and I did have a chuckle.
Nice. Okay, good.
So, good team, Bodo Glimt, by the way. I've watched a few of their games. It's play some good stuff.
The Bodo Glimt podcast coming to you soon. Right, let's do a predicted 11 then. I think we're probably going to do 2 here because having chatted on WhatsApp earlier, I don't think we agree on the 11. So to get into this, the window upper says, lads, do you think Marlon starts? Answer that very quickly before we do an 11.
No,
me neither. Okay, right. At 11, Martinez in goal. I'm going to go for Garcia right back, Disasi and Concert at centre back, Dean left back. What's your back 5? Or back 4 plus the keeper?
Unchanged, actually, which is something I want to see after just mentioning that we always make 3 changes to the back line. So Disasi, Concert, Mings and Dean.
Okay, we'll talk about it in a sec. Midfield 2, my choices are Tielemans and Kamara.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Mid attacking 3, obviously Watkins is going to be up front for both of us. So the final 3 positions behind him. Rashford on the left, Asensio 10, McGinn on the right. That's my 11.
My only change there is Rodgers instead of Rashford.
On the left?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Just talk me through your team as a whole then. Why have you gone with what you've gone for?
Well,
because I kind of had an eye on Wednesday. Like I'm looking ahead to Wednesday.
I don't. I think the league, this is nearly make or break territory. So you have to play to win this game. Forget about Bruges. That's down the line. That for me, that could be a month away. Not in my focus at all. I think we've done a big part of that job as well. I'm not saying we're through at all, but it allows us to concentrate fully on this game. And if you get 2 or 3 injuries, which is kind of worst case scenario, okay, well, this player can play instead of Disasi. Like Cash can come in for Disasi. McGinn drops instead of Tielemans, who comes out. I think we do have quite a lot of options now. But for Brentford, firstly, corners and set pieces, you need to be strong there. They are quick in transition, which means we're going to have to play a bit deeper, I think, anyway, and kind of soak up pressure. And I'd much prefer us to defend our box with those players than others, essentially. I think Kamara has to play in the midfield, and I think he will as well, from the off, by the way. Yeah. And then McGinn, again, a player that I just think you need in this team to play against Brentford. So I've got him playing. I mean, whether it's on the right or on the left, I've only put him on the right just because Rodgers, for me, is better suited to on the left. He can drift in then, and you can have Dean pushing on further forward. Asensio, I think, is a bit of a luxury out of possession, if I'm being totally honest. But if it's not him, you could kind of maybe make the argument that Rashford's maybe a bit of a luxury out of possession as well. I think he does work hard, but in terms of just tactically knowing what to do, if you're going to set up like really, you'd have Ramsey and play Rodgers in the 10, but then having Asensio and Rashford on the bench feels a bit like negative too, because again, this game probably have to win. I also think Rashford's probably more effective, not totally, but he has been more effective, I think, overall from off the bench. Again, probably building up his fitness and whatnot. And again, playing against tired legs, we saw it in previous games and also like last season with Leon Bailey, how he can run at players and commit them as well, get bookings, get fouls, get free kicks, whether that's winning those set pieces to kill time or to get opportunities. That, in my head at least, makes sense. And Asensio, I just think you need to start because he's class and in possession. I think you can kind of work around him a little bit, and he doesn't have to be, as I say, necessarily luxury. He can be a player that you look towards when you have the ball to make something happen, play that killer pass for Watkins in behind. So yeah, that's the team I've gone for. But again, for me, it's like defense first for this game. They're going to score goals throughout the season. So they have scored goals. They'll continue to score goals. So we've got to prepare to score. I don't know, at least twice, I think, tomorrow to win the game. I don't think we'll be keeping a clean sheet. Obviously, it'd be great if we do, but.
I totally agree with everything you said. Even
you've gone with Garcia though.
No, but even reasoning for why you've picked the team. Like I get why you've picked the team you've picked. I'm looking ahead to Wednesday in terms of the 11. I don't think Mings can play as good as he was the other night. I don't know whether he can play 3 games in a week. So if I was going to choose, I get
that.
So my thinking with Bruges is, I'm not saying that we're almost there with the ties won like you, but we've done a lot of good work already. Let the defence specifically that played against Bruges play against them again, because Mings already knows how to handle them and all that kind of thing. Why change what worked on Tuesday night for Wednesday night? So I've got Mings playing Wednesday. So in my head, he can't play this one because I don't think he can play the 3 games in a week. Okay. Further forward, I've got McGinn on the right because I've got Garcia right back, or you could put Cash there potentially for that width in behind. if it was what you've gone for, Bailey possibly on the right would play. He scored in the Champions League. Marlon does need minutes, but I don't see him coming in and starting straight away. There's a lot of kind of like doubts is probably the wrong word about Marlon, but kind of like he must be really annoyed he's not playing. He's come here and he's not in the squad. He's not playing in the league. Like he will get time. He will become a useful player, I think, but just not right at the moment.
Yeah.
The midfield was the only other one that I thought of changing things. That if Kamara's coming in, is that for one of Tielemans or McGinn, just from a rest perspective, give one of them a couple of days. But then we've got this big break coming up. That can we just get through these next couple and then they can rest, especially if they don't head off to any international duty, any of them. So merits in both sides that we've picked, because I'm kind of looking ahead a little bit to Wednesday as well. But if it was Disasi right back, Konsa, Mings and Dean, I wouldn't go, Emery's picked the wrong side here, I know better.
Yeah.
I would like us to play on the front foot and try and take the game to them.
Yeah.
Whether that's wise or not, I don't know. Probably not.
For the Bruges game, I know you mentioned it for good reason, because it's not over at all. But I feel like you can devise a specific game plan for that game, because we are 2 goals up. You don't have to play that like a 90 minutes of, you need to win the game. We don't have to. I mean, yeah, of course we don't want to lose it, because that means that it's going to be close. But we could lose the game 1-0 and go through. So I just think maybe that's a game for Torres to come back in and control it a bit better. I think that's a game we're just going to have to manage. It's a 90-minute match, but can we just kill the life out of it and make it a horrible, stingy 50 minutes where we're keeping the ball, we're playing in transition, they can have some of it. And yeah, I know that's an extremely basic way of looking at it, and then you obviously have options as well. You can bring Mings on if you need to shore up. I just think for the Brentford game, you've got to attend to what they're good at. You have to show them respect, because if you don't, we could be conceding three goals and you're not going to win the game then, I don't think. So, yeah, I just think it's important to play that game, play the players that you need to combat what they're good at, essentially. And then we have enough quality ourselves to score goals without setting up a team to do so, if that makes sense. We can play 2 passes and get through, like we did against Palace, I think it was, or Chelsea as well. So, we'll be able to score goals, I think, with whatever sort of lineup we have, or at least make chances. Taking them's another thing. But defensively, I need to be sure that we're going to be comfortable and we'll be able to defend. And I don't think we would be if we just keep making changes.
Yeah, that's fair. From the forward options perspective, whether it's Rashford on the left or Rodgers in the 10 or whatever.
So many options.
Pretty much whoever plays in those forward front areas, I wouldn't be like, that's the wrong choice. So,
it's one of those, I think
any of them playing.
You trust Emery to, he knows if they're in the red zone, he knows which players are going to play better against what right back or whatever it may be. Like, he'll have a specific game plan for that as well. So if it's Ramsey starting or Rodgers, or if it's Rashford, or it's Sensio, McGinn and Bailey and Marlon, of course, whoever he picks, I'm not going to be too critical of it when it first comes out, even if I don't agree, because there's probably a reason behind each one. So, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Right, let's wrap up then with a score prediction. John, I'll do a bit of waffling, so give you time to write us down on your phone, as always. We've not done a tracked one for a while, because obviously we did Bruges and, did we do a preview for the Palace? I can't remember. Anyway, neither of us got Palace right. I had a 3-1 win, you had a 2-1 win, and we lost 4-1. Liverpool, you got it bang on with a 2-2. You also got it bang on against Chelsea with a 2-1. So you're in form at the moment, 13 points in the prediction league versus my 8. So I could really do with getting this right.
You've got 8?
And over the course of the season, that's crap.
No, but I thought it was worse. I thought we were both.
No, you thought it was worse. Okay,
no, it was both. I thought it was like 3.
Well, you were on 7 up until the last couple of weeks, where you got 6 points in the last couple of games. So shot you straight up there. I'll read out some score predictions from the comments as well if they come through with plenty of time. But we're approaching 40 minutes when the game will be 30 minutes into its life cycle in 24 hours' time. So how many people are watching this before the game? Who knows? So let's not waffle on forever. Are you ready to reveal yours, John? Yeah. Okay. 3, 2, 1. 2-1 victory for Villa for me, and a 2-2 for John Townley. I back Villa to win all the time. I don't think I really believe that with my head. I think if you said put some money on now, I probably would go with the draw as an actual prediction, but I thought you would probably go with the draw as well. So almost to be different a little bit for the game's sake. the prediction league. 2-1 Villa. Watkins to bag.
Yeah, I just say 2-2 because I don't know. As the days have come closer to this game, I've actually felt more confident. But I'm not going to talk about it too much because we know what happens next. But I don't know what it is when I go to the G-Tech because it's quite a small stadium. I don't know how to explain it, but I can just visualize things on that stadium better. I don't know why. I don't know how. Maybe it's like the press box. I don't know, something weird about it. I can see like Emi Buendia nearly scoring there a few years ago and thinking, oh, that wasn't so difficult. Like we nearly, probably sounds crazy, but
sounds mental. Yeah.
I don't know. It just feels like a stadium where goals can be scored. Of course, against us too. So there is that. But I think we've got chances and just got a sneaky feeling, although I've put 2-2, that we could win.
Okay, all right, we'll end it there. I will read some of these comments. We got Sean says 2-1 Villa, Graham 4-1 Villa, Shaney 3-1 Villa, literally 1982 says 3-3 Villa. Paul says 2-0 Villa, Julie 3-2 Villa, Si says 3-1 either way. Well, let's hope it's Villa's way.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. By the way,
yeah, I do.
It
do
feels
as well.
like that game. Yeah. Either one.
Peter says a draw isn't good enough. 2-0 Villa, and Carl. Contrary to the opening of this show of Villa's bogey team or not, we always beat them. 3-1 away win. Well, more often than not these days we do.
In the last year, we haven't stopped beating them.
And to end the show, this one's highly unrealistic. Villa keep a clean sheet in this one with a 634-0 goal line scoreline from Zach. So I just can't see it. Keeping a clean sheet, never going to happen, mate. Never going to happen. Right, yeah. John, thank you for your time joining us on the podcast. As always, I'll be back tomorrow for the post-match show with Matt Lynch. He'll be joining me around 7:30, 8 o'clock to discuss whatever happens.
It's been like a Villa View reunion.
It is a little bit, isn't it? Yeah, we would join to discuss whatever happens at the G-Tech Community Stadium. Hopefully it's a big 3 points for Aston Villa. Right, cheers everyone for watching or listening, and we'll see you tomorrow.